Who's ready for happy hour? You guys got a little bit left in you?
Yes.
Okay, good. You guys excited about this last conversation we're going to have today?
Yes.
You know you got to do it. Everyone's talking about it, especially from that big stage in there. And you look around and you see your peers and they look great. And maybe even your 12-year-old kid is getting awesome at it. How often do you lack confidence? I hear some laughter. How often do you lack confidence around social media? Can I get a raise of hands? Okay. We're going to get going here. Today, in our time together, we're going to give you the tools to gain confidence, to find a clear purpose and plan, to find some consistency in your social media, to connect with the right audience and to grow that audience. We're going to stop the comparison cycle, and we're going to find some content balance. Fortunately enough for me, there have been some amazing presentations today that I'm going to point back to. So some of this might not feel real deep, but there are going to be some moments that are going to be deep. The mindset for today, if you guys leave here today with one single practical, actionable takeaway that you then put into action that helps you solve one of these challenges that you resonated with, we have won together. You guys okay with that? Yes. It's a big promise. Bonus, when you decide what that one is, share it with me in your DM on Instagram. Why Instagram? It's the place I like hanging out the most if I had to pick one app. Okay? By the way, I just found out if you search Jeff B, I'm either right above or right below Jeff Bezos. Not sure. I'm not that big of a deal, I promise, but kind of felt cool for a minute. If you guys don't know me, my name is Jeff Bannan. I'm a Tom Ferry coach. I've been coaching for the last couple of years. Had the awesome opportunity to work with some wonderful clients. Thank you guys for being right here. And some of you guys may have gotten to know me a little bit through some of the webinars. If you haven't, I would love, I'll reference a couple of them here, and hopefully you'll find some value there as well. And so, who's in the room? I'm sure we've got plenty of creatives in the room. It's really easy to come up with that shiny penny. It's really easy to have that big idea or to play on video. Let's be honest here. Or you're afraid of video, and you're like, I just want to scroll on the app. Or we've got the operators in the room who your coaches said, you've been saying you're going to do social for 3 years. You have to go listen to Jeff. I got some hand raised. You're an operator in the room. Let me know that you're here. Got like 4. The rest of you guys are either lying or, okay. We've got some newish agents. Tell me how new you are. New agent?
Oh, I've been in about 35 days.
I love it. Give him a hand up. What's your name? Ken from Salt Lake. This is amazing. By the way, huge kudos, 35 days, and you're in the best room you could possibly, well, maybe not here, but in the big room earlier. And of course, we've got some seasoned agents here. So it's going to be fun. Here's what I find with some of the seasoned agents I have the opportunity to work with. If you can approach today with a beginner's mind, I think that's where we're going to grow the most. Okay? So, by the way, if you are already in some good rhythm, I want you to answer one of these 3 questions to yourself. Actually, I might do it to your neighbor. They did that a lot earlier. It seemed to work out okay. The first one is what's next? Okay, so you're good at Facebook. What's next? Or what's the next area? Maybe not even app. What's the next area I can improve in? I've gotten pretty good at video, but I want to get better at this part of video. Take like 30 seconds and say, here's what's next, to whoever's near you. Go ahead. I said 30 seconds, so if you have talked the whole time, flip it to the other person. All right, we're going to bring this back here. I know y'all could do it all day. Listen, in like 40 minutes, you can do it for the rest of the day. All right, so the next question is, I used to coach teenage girls. I'm really good at waiting. So more on that in a minute. Next platform would be the next question. So I'm really good on Instagram. I like short form content. I keep hearing I got to do YouTube because that's where all the leads come from, and I'm dreading those long, boring videos. Okay? So, or the other way around. Like I'm great. My friend sitting somewhere, he was over here, awesome on YouTube. He's like, do I have to do Instagram? Yes, you do. All right, and then finally, this is possibly one of my favorites, is who can I help? Who can I help? So if you're good at one of these platforms, who can I help? Think of that from the lens of a couple things. Who can I collaborate with? Maybe give some love around this. Could it be a new agent in your marketplace that you just are in the same brokerage? Could it be a teammate? Could it be a team attraction tool? I've got a couple teams that I work with, and their teammates, I met a couple of them this week, they love them. A big reason for that is the video work that they do, because the team lead got it, and now they're giving it back. And then finally, if you're not using that to love on the local businesses, you're missing a huge opportunity. If you can then love on your local businesses, imagine how your network is going to expand. What happens when your network expands and you do good business? You do more good business. Okay? So if you're already in a solid rhythm, we can still learn, but those are some questions that I think can help guide today. All right. Raise your hand if you're lacking confidence or have ever felt that way before. Good. So this is a very powerful system if you really lean into it. And this was developed over 20 years of coaching high-level competitive cheerleaders. And when I say high level, I mean world's caliber or collegiate. Like I had a girl last year graduated, she was the captain of the Penn State cheerleading squad. So upside down, flipping, no hands, spinning twice. One spin away from Olympic athletes. If you mess up, you break something, and it could be your neck. So if they were lacking confidence, it never went well. This was developed working with them, and then I found out it works with adults too. It's pretty cool. So we have start where you are with what you can do. Sounds pretty easy. Start where you currently are, wherever that is. Don't compare. Where are you now? Start there and do the thing. Then we're going to work hard at it. Clap for yourself if you're a hard worker right now. Go ahead. I don't have to worry about that one. I had a feeling in this room, in this environment, the work hard at it, no big deal. By the way, you're going to continue to grow and learn. Think about something you've learned in the last couple years that you were bad at when you started and you're way better at now because you did the thing. It's a big piece of the puzzle. If you don't do the thing, you're never going to get to where you want to go. Also, be mindful that when you start, you will not be where you want to go. Okay? The most important words are right there. Be proud of yourself. You've heard Tom talk about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. If you've not read the book, this might be summed up in the entire book right here. You have to be proud of your efforts. It is not about the end result that you got from that one time of doing the one thing, like I made a video and I sold 3 houses. No. I made one post and I got everything I want. No. I made that video and it wasn't that great. And I hit the share button and I was freaking out. Good job. Be proud of the efforts. If you get that and you have lacked confidence and you practice this, I promise you, this will help in a huge way. Then, and just ever so slightly, you're going to evaluate what you've done. And I'm not talking about every post or even every day. I'm talking about a body of work over the course of a week or maybe a month. You're going to look back and say, hey, did I post 3 times a week like I said I was going to? Yes? Great job. Is there anything, and by the way, it's not what did I do bad at? You're going to flip that phrase, write this down. What could I improve? What could I improve? Mind-blowing what happens when you change the words that what was not good to what could get a little better. I know a lot of cheerleading coaches who, not downing any of them, but they're just like, you're just so terrible. And I'm like, how's that helpful? Instead, when they come along, they're like, hey, if you could do this a little bit more, and these kids would get better. And by the way, it works with adults too. Do it to yourself. Whose voice do we listen to more than anybody else's voice? Go ahead, point to that person. Hopefully you know by now. If you don't, you should figure that out. Okay? So you're going to evaluate what you've done. If there's a fine-tune, not big change, fine-tune. Oh, I tried short form for a month, I'm going to do long form. No, stay with it. Fine-tune that thing, and then start back at the top again. Keep going, guys. Was this helpful? If this resonated with you, at the very bottom, it's kind of small, but you can just write down the word mindset. There's a webinar that I did 3-ish months ago that spends 30 minutes on this, okay? But this hopefully is enough. We're gonna keep rolling. Have any of you guys had some sort of lack of purpose or plan when it comes to one of your social media apps? Go ahead, another show of hands. Okay, good. If you guys didn't, I have. I love you, Bob. All right, so start with who are you? I'm going to drop right down to the next one. Think unique selling proposition. And if you didn't catch the webinar from 2 weeks ago, this is what I meant. I'm going to bounce back to some other bodies of work that we've been working on. I'm not just talking about a one-liner. Hey, I'm a really good agent who's good at negotiating and I love showing houses. No, I'm talking about who are you? Where have you been? What are all the cool things you've done? What is your brilliance? And I go through a workshop process on that in that particular training. But when you can start with who you are and the hobbies you've done and the professions you've been in before real estate and the talents that you have and the people who you've served, that's going to go a long way. And then you're going to fill your content buckets. Who caught Courtney's talk from 2 talks ago in this room? Yes? Awesome. And she goes deep on that, so I'm not going to. And if you missed it, there will be an audio recording and some slides, and you should look at it. She went into what Tom does as buckets. 20 seconds. My buckets are family, fitness, and real estate. If all I did was real estate, I'm going to lose the 90% of people who are not going to buy or sell this year. And then the app's going to think they don't like each other, and they're going to stop showing my stuff to them, and I stop staying top of mind, which means they stop referring me. I mean, if I'm making my calls, it'll probably be a little bit better than what I just described, but I know some of you guys are like, I just want to do Instagram. Don't just do Instagram. Make your calls. But when you fill your content buckets and you share who you are, people will start leaning in. If you're a mom or a dad or a spouse, or you like dogs, or you like sports, or you like cars, and you share it, you're going to resonate with the people who do like those things too, and you'll probably have more fun when you do the deals when you get connected. Not if that makes sense, okay? Also, if you look back at where you were in the last week or two, very, very tactical. I'm not doing a lot of tactics here, but this one tactic hopefully will help. Look back. Did I miss opportunities to share content? And instead of thinking, what's content? Did I miss opportunities to share a moment? And then you're going to look forward. You're going to say, what opportunities do I have coming up? What things am I doing? What moments can I share? And as you share those moments, that's how we start having this nice conversation. Courtney said it earlier. Jason said it earlier. All of a sudden, have you ever made a post and somebody came up to you later? They're like, hey, I saw that post. We're trying to start conversations here, guys. This is the conversation starter. This is not the deal finisher. This is the conversation starter. All morning, Tom said, have conversations, set appointments. How many times did he say it? 300 times? 400? I'm going to tell him to say it some more tomorrow. I'm probably not going to do that. That's what we're doing here. We're starting conversations that will eventually turn into conversations that matter about building what they need and helping you with your business. And then finally, we're going to talk about finding our social voice. This is a fun one. My friends, Shannon and Tyler, sitting, where are you guys at? Right over here. Jason started, if you've been to an Edge with Jason recently, he started talking about them. They're my people. And this was really fun. She had a cool opportunity to be on Jason's podcast, and it did awesome. So she got asked back. So pay attention when she talks to Jason. They're winning big, guys. They're winning really big because of their Instagram. Also, I'm going to be sharing people. I think she's got of all the people who I'm sharing, you probably can't see these little numbers. Their followers are in the 6,000s. I know you guys are used to seeing numbers that are like 50,000. I'm going to bring it down to hopefully some more relatable humans. Like, I could be like them. Not like I'll never be like them. But she shared with me her big flip right around, 1,000-ish people. She was like, she actually, before we were ever working together, she got a coach that helped her find this. 5 words that, pick 5 adjectives that describe you. Can I share yours? Is this okay? Okay. Oh boy. Here we go. An expert, by the way, they are. Trustworthy, professional, caring, and down to earth. Are you starting to see how there's shape coming here? By the way, she was stuck for a while at like 1,000. Anybody else stuck a little bit? And then she put some structure around this. And then 5 words of how you want people to feel when they visit your page. And hers were, I want my audience to feel educated, inspired, entertained, trust, and joy. Some powerful words. I would encourage you guys to think through this, spend a little time with it. I see some notes being taken. I love that. Take this back, workshop it with your coach. Now we start to have a lens on what are we going to share. And then finally, what is that lens that you filter your content through? She wanted to educate and entertain a little bit. Boy, does she do great with both. I say she. Tyler does great too. We're just trying to get him a little bit more active. But when he is, everybody loves it. Okay? Was that helpful? If you put this into practice, do you believe that it will help you grow?
Yes.
You can thank her for that. That's not my words, those are hers. If you're not friends, you should be. We're going to keep moving here. Lack of consistency. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Hank, you're going to love this one. Put it on a calendar. Any other creatives who have never touched a calendar in their life before? They got into coaching? I was somewhere around 18 months into coaching, and Hank, back there, thank you, I'm just waiting for the laughter. He was like, tell me where on your calendar, like any good coach should say, tell me where on your calendar that is. And I said, what's a calendar? If this recovering non-calendar user can get into one, I promise you, you all can, because I had some serious calendar resistance. Okay, so instead of saying, I'm a creative and I just want to be free-flowing, guys, use a calendar. By the way, in a minute we're going to talk about support. Maybe you help build a calendar with somebody who's good at calendars and you just never have to look at it. How nice would that be? Okay, so then we're going to get some support. Okay, and the support can come in a lot of different ways. By the way, if you're an operator and you're like, I just don't feel that creative, guys, be yourselves. I want you to be you. If you're super analytical, be analytical. It's okay. Don't go and try to be crazy creative. Be analytical, because guess who's going to vibe with that? Analyticals do play on Instagram and Facebook. Okay? So be you and then get some support. That could be video support. That could be editing support. That could be marketing manager support. We're going to look at this a little bit more. Again, I've referenced her 3 times now. I had to come to the room because we were talking on such similar topics, and it was cool how there's blending but not overlapping. Courtney literally unpacked the playbook. She basically said, this is what I do for Tom. If you guys think Tom's doing all this stuff, he's not. And he talked earlier about being the bottleneck. If you're like, I'm either one of those, the creative or the operator, and I'm the sticking point, get yourself out of the way. Tom is great at getting himself out of the way. Who do I need so that we can do this? That's a question you should be asking right now. Batch film or batch content create? It can be painful. I'll just go ahead and say it. I like making content, and it can be painful when you don't plan all the time that it will take. That point right there on this whole thing might be the most important one. Okay, so with the batch film content create, it's been talked about enough. I don't think I need to redo that, but if you're not doing it, find a friend who is and figure out what are you doing and then start doing it. If, only if, you're in this room and you're like, I'm actually going to do social. Okay, plan for the time it will take. I need ideas. I need to flush those ideas out. I need to research these ideas. I need to figure out, are they even worth it? No, just do them. Just keep going, okay? Then you have to press record. You got to figure out where you're going to press record. You're going to figure out, are you the one pressing record or somebody else? What camera? Guys, use this. I happen to coach a couple that met on The Bachelor, the show. They got married. They're still married. It's a miracle. I love them. They're not here. They're amazing. And they came off of a very expensive set. Talk about somebody who would have the excuse of, it's got to be great quality. Guess what they're filming on? They're selling houses because of this. Okay? Who's going to press record? Who's going to edit for you? If you're spending 25 hours editing and you're trying to sell houses, it doesn't work. Fiverr is great. There are other friends who have found friends who edit. Get with them. Really important, guys. Have grace with yourself. Just like we talked about in the mindset part, have grace with yourself and then get right back to work. Do not go into I beat myself up mode. Just be like, oh, last week I said I was going to do 3 and I did 1. I'm a freaking idiot. No. Okay, I did 1. Cool. This week I'm going to do 3. Where's my help? I need some help. Who will you hire or who will help you scale? Okay? Faith is right up here. From the Barrett, I want to make sure, I can barely see these, by the way. From the Barrett team, she was the one I was talking about. I met a couple of her teammates who loved the fact that her team is helping them produce constant, great social media. I met them, and I'm like, Zach, I already know you. It's so nice to meet you in person. He was like, that's cool. It works. But she's got a rock star admin. By the way, clap it up if, you guys have all, don't clap yet. If you've heard from Instagram to everywhere, you've heard that, right? Nod your head. Clap if you'd like the SOP for it. Clap it up, maybe. Your DM's about to get blown up. So follow the Barrett team, and then DM them a IG SOP, and you're like, holy crap, how many hundreds of people are about to DM this one small human? And guess what? She's got help. Sarah is going to go in, because if you didn't know, you can search that, so make sure you put that in. If you do not put that in the DM, you're going to miss your opportunity. Sarah will search that, and then she will make sure you guys get it. Do you want an email address? Yeah. Okay, so DM and then an email address. And by the way, if your Instagram does not say what your name is anywhere in your profile, it should. But make sure you put your name too, so she knows who she's talking to. Okay? She's got some support, which is why we can do this. She also hired a videographer. They run a very lean business. They do not spend on frivolous things. They don't need to, because they've gotten really good at this. And then they do the work. But they did say it's worth it to hire a good video and production team, and they're locked in monthly, and then they put out super consistent content. Also, Sarah, who I referenced, who's not in the room, Faith likes the app, so she likes Instagram, but that's all she wants to touch. So she will put it on Instagram, and then Sarah will take it and make sure it goes everywhere else. You guys starting to see how having some help might help you get to the next place? And talk about sweat equity versus check equity. If we're making money because we're selling houses and we want to scale, you probably have some cash. If you're not selling any houses, go sell some houses. But you have a little bit more time that you can just hustle through some of this. Does that make sense? Please do not get lost hustling through this and not selling houses. The back to the basic stuff that Tom talked about earlier still needs to happen. This is a pillar, not the whole thing. That would just be being a content creator, and it's, trust me, you don't want it, okay? Most of you don't. 1 or 2 of you might, but most of you don't. And then, okay, we already talked about from Instagram to everywhere. How are we doing? We okay? You guys are very quiet, and I think that's a good thing. Hopefully it's not sleepiness. We got it. Thank you. All right. Sorry. All right, right audience and how to grow. Social media is social, guys. Social media is social. And if you're like, what do you mean? Because the last friend who I shared this with was like, what do you mean? You got to go out there and you got to meet people. Like out there, like go out the door, get away from your phone and your computer, actually put it in your back pocket or wherever you stash it, and go meet people. Network, network, network. I'm bouncing around. Are you inviting all of your friends and connections to your social page? If you have a good following on Facebook and you're like, I have 200 friends on Instagram, but I have like 500 or 1,000 on Facebook, go find them on Instagram. 5 a day, 10 a day. There's tactical. Go back to Facebook. Did I follow this friend? Follow. And then DM, please. If you follow without a DM, you might as well not even follow. Well, what do I DM them? Hey guys, I'm spending more time on Instagram. Hang out with me here. Maybe not hang out with me here. It's good to, I can't believe that's a good one. I can't believe we're not connected here already. Cool. And if you're like, well, I'm not doing much there, cool, you're starting. If Instagram is next from Facebook, they're going to start seeing content. When you send the DM, this is super important. When you send the DM, guess what the app thinks? You guys are friends now. You're like, I've been friends for 10 years. Yeah, but now the app knows it. And then they're going to start sharing all this great content you're going to be creating with them. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. Isn't that right? All right, so ask invite those connections with you. You can do the same thing through your phone book. You can do the same thing through your CRMs and your past clients. Same exact thing. Hanging out here. Don't want you to miss all the good that we're sharing. Okay? Instagram and Facebook is now your new business card. Tom Tezak, where you at? I'm not saying get rid of your business cards, because he'll yell at me later. Okay? You can keep your business cards, but did you guys catch the part about the postcard in the toilet earlier? Not like you're throwing it in, but you're not taking it with you. If they're not taking the postcards that you paid for and mailed out, they're definitely not taking your business card. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, good. Hopefully you guys didn't miss that. It was probably the funniest part of Jason talking today. And when you hand the business card, or some of my younger folks or older folks might say, I don't really care about business cards either. What's your favorite platform? Or do you prefer Facebook or Instagram? Or if you just love it, do you like Instagram or Instagram? If you hand the business card, hey, what's your Instagram? Hey, what's your Facebook? Let's get connected there. Follow, friend, DM. Got it? If you hand somebody a business card, that's step like A, or B, you hand them a business card, you friend request them, follow them, whatever, DM them. Which one turns into business faster, A or B? Which one turns into referrals faster, A or B? Which one helps you to grow your audience faster, A or B? Because I guarantee if you hand them a business card, do not get them to open their app, they are not going at whoever your name is, at Real Estate Nate. Okay? So, again, DM, super important. Finally, how are we making our feed a place for them to feel comfortable and have some fun, or whatever your vibe is going to be? Again, if it's all about you, might as well not do it. If you're like, but it is all about me, we got to find some balance. My now 16-year-old son at 14 thought he was going to be a model. If he sees this, he's going to kill me. And at like less than 300 followers on Instagram, because I've got Instagram, I'm going to have some friends, everybody, the whole world is going to see how beautiful I am. Boy, yes, do not let him see this. Chris is probably tagging him right now. I'm going to die. No growth. No growth. In the last 6 months, well, in the last year and a half, he's become a really good videographer, like really, really good videographer. Owns a nicer camera than me, and I own a media company. He bought it, not me. Got really good, started showing up to football games and high school basketball games. Kids started seeing the work. They started sending him DMs. Will you please come film me? I'll pay you. Okay. Last week, he found himself on the floor at possibly the biggest high school basketball game at St. Joe's University because it had the number 1, number 2, and number 5 recruit. All of his friends who tried to get media passes couldn't get on the court. And he was there, and here was the guys coming out of the huddle when they were doing player intros. Guess what's happened to his Instagram? Because it's not about him anymore. And every once in a while, he shares some stuff that he's got going on with him. But now that people know that it's a mutual conversation, it's not just all about him anymore. Is this helpful? Okay, cool. You guys are awesome. Thank you for like engaging with me. I'm only going to say it because it's not being filmed. So for the audio recording, comparison is the killer of joy. And if you're waiting for me to say a big name, which we should say big names. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but if you're waiting for me to say a big name and you're like, oh, when I hear that big name, I'm just never going to be like them. I only know this because my coaching clients talk to me about it. And I know it's not just them or me. How about, by the way, different tools? That's all I could find. Literally. Upwork is awesome, but I'm like, comparison, that's all you got? Should have had 2 different houses. Emulate over comparison. I'm going to go ahead and say a couple big names. Most of them I've mostly only met or maybe know a little bit. Never coached them. One of them I did. I just want to be like Glenda or Taya or Ken or Brad. Brad's my guy. That's why I can say that. But instead, if we look at what are they doing that I can do too? What about what they did is something that my team can put into practice? So every time you catch yourself, because what I'm saying sounds easy, but our brain's going to go right back to the I wish I could be like for most of us. So when that phrase comes up, replace it with stop. What about them could we emulate to move our business forward or for us to grow? Oh, my stars. And this is one of the most beautiful examples of somebody who decided, I'm going to emulate. Kate Newey, where you at? Hat and Heels. If you don't follow Hat and Heels, she's like the only person who I coach who I didn't say change your Instagram handle, because it's like, it's who you are. Normally I'm like, put your name, please. I want to know who you are. She's like, you will know who I am. We started coaching 3 months after she got her license. When she got her license, which was less than 3 years ago, she had 0 Instagram followers. When we started working together, she had about 300. So she had started. She was working on it. And then within less than a year, she heard Glenda. And she heard about batch recording and hiring a videographer. And she said, I'm going to do it. And I was like, do you have the money for that? She didn't. But she was like, if it worked for her, I'm going to make it work for me. I said, let's go for it. Because as a coach, you learn sometimes you just got to let your people go, and I'm glad I did. Hired a videographer, and she has exploded. And this year, was it 9 transactions straight out of the DMs? Raise your hand if you'd like another 9 transactions to your real estate year because of your Instagram DMs. You know how we talked in a couple slides ago about social being social? She gets that. She networks, and she brings people back to Instagram, which is her favorite app, and it helps her stay top of mind. They're like, hey, Kate, you wouldn't have time to help my friend, would you? They're thinking about selling $1 million house. Oh, let me think about that for a minute. She keeps things fun and entertaining while bringing value. I'm not saying you have to be fun or entertaining if that's not your MO. But she found her voice, and she's really good at her voice. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you follow. If you follow, send a DM, give some love, okay? Don't be a silent follower. A couple other friends I'm going to talk about, and then I'm hopefully going to leave a couple minutes for questions. Share you. I just looked at my watch, and I have to go faster. They have been telling me take pauses, and I took pauses, and I think maybe a few too many. All right, so share you. Susie, where you at? By the way, huge shout out. She's like praying with me before this whole thing and like my hype girl. So thank you. Huge support. It's fun how it goes both ways sometimes. Guys, I happened to adopt her from Jason Pantana. Like, how lucky am I? And she had a wonderful time with Jason. And Jason even told me, he was like, when she starts speaking her voice on social, it's going to be awesome. And so we got to work. And by we, I mean I just kind of gave her a little nudge every once in a while. And one day she woke up and she's like, it's time to share my voice. And boy, oh boy, when I say share her voice, she's got some stories that are not, well, she's got some funny stuff too, but like she gets serious sometimes. And the way that her seriousness resonates, it's super, super impactful. Like the stuff that you stop and you're like, I'm going to give all my attention to.
Yes, everything is just fine.
Figure out how to silence this thing. And it's just, it's so special. Remember how we talked about who else can you love on? Her sharing her voice is empowering women in a very powerful way, and in a way that somebody else probably couldn't do. It's super important, guys. We got Kristen Nelson over here. Commit and get to it. I don't know if I've known anyone who has decided I'm going to conquer this app and then put in the work. And she's a little analytical and a lot creative, maybe a lot of analytical, like an interesting blend. So if you're like, I'm on one side or the other, she's like right in the middle. But she's like, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to do it. Like less than 100 followers. I don't even know what you call them on TikTok. That's how, anyway. Took TikTok from almost 0 to over 1,000 in 45 days and over 1 million views. Because she said, I'm going to do the thing. 90-some videos. If you're like, what's it take? A lot. And then she found some support and she got to work. Does that make sense? So commit. Whatever it is that we talked about at the beginning, what's the thing? Commit to it and then do it. Keep rolling here, guys. Make sure you make friends with these people. They're amazing. For my perfectionist friend, anyone that being the sticking point, they talked about it on the main stage, some good stuff on the main stage. I'm gonna roll through this quickly because of time. Go for a 7 or 8 out of 10. If you're a perfectionist, please go for a 7 or 8 out of 10. I know, makes your skin, you're like, no way. Yes, way. Resistance is your enemy, and it shows up as perfectionism. You're not alone. You're just the only one bold enough to say it. Thank you.
What did she say?
She said, that's me. Resistance is your enemy, and it shows up as perfectionism. By the way, perfect, not done, is still not done. So it doesn't matter. And no one is paying that much attention or cares. But I do. Well, then you might as well not do any of it. Done at 7 or 8 is way better than undone at perfect. I'm not going to say her name right now. If it was a smaller setting, I would have said his name. He's on his second camera. By the way, what camera should you use? Oh, I'll go buy the $1,000 camera. True story. I'm going to say his name. Nate, raise your hand. He's not allowed back to an event until he starts creating content. He then calls me. He's like, hey, Jeff, I bought a nicer camera than you. I said, was the old one broken? Because I still haven't seen the content from it. I love you, Nate. Thank you. He was busting on me for being a cheerleader last night at dinner. That's what you get. All right. Get it done, guys. Build systems. Jeff Goolsby, I had a great opportunity to hang out with him or adopt him as a coaching client from Yvonne Arnold, the systems queen. His systems are awesome and rock solid. And now he's getting to work. By the way, he just closed his first YouTube lead ever. Closed. Paid. Awesome. Like 200 subs. Not 1,000, not 50,000. Under 200. Wasn't even really going for that. And it happened. It works, guys. You guys know Tom Tezak? He threw a great party last night. You guys there? Yeah. He's like, Jeff, I don't really want to do Instagram. I was like, we're going to get there. But he's growing YouTube and Facebook. He is so present on Facebook. And I'm not talking like overly present or spends all his time there, but it's enough that he stays top of mind. Again, that's what's comfortable for him, so he started with what's comfortable. And then we pushed him out of his comfort zone, said Instagram's it. And he was like, not me. And I said, okay, Michelle can do it. His rock star sidekick. So Michelle now has got his Instagram looking every bit as good as his Facebook, and the world doesn't know the difference because it's still his face and his voice. Got it? Does it work? It's like the least pretty, this is my house. It's the least pretty slide. And this story is going to be real short, and I'm going to be real vulnerable. You guys okay with that? Coming up on my 10-year anniversary in my house, and I almost lost it. I was at a startup company before I was in real estate, and it was private mortgage investment, and things were awesome, and I got in a really cool comp plan, and it just went like this. And I wasn't saving, and they brought me in and said, hey, we got to bring you back down. And I literally almost lost my house. Like, lights were off, literally lost everything else except for my family and my house and my, at the time, 2 dogs. And I had just I was like, I can't take that, like, that money won't work. And so I went hard into getting my license, and then I said, okay, and my wife had owned a CrossFit gym, and I'd helped her scale the CrossFit gym because of, guess what, Instagram, no paid ads. And I kind of clunky figured it out. I was like, I have to do this for real estate because I know nothing else. And I wasn't great, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I had a little idea, but you guys probably know more than I know now than I knew then. And I got to work, and I was able to save my house and get my life back together by the grace of God. And if I could do it when I was scared to death, I know every one of you guys, no matter what the excuse is, set that aside, and whatever that thing you committed to, get after it. Thank you. I got like 2 minutes. Do we have any questions?
Do a flip.
Okay, we've got a microphone. Do you really want me to do a flip?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to break this thing.
I got you.
Oh, hold on. Oh, jeez. Is this for real? I've got to hold that. I'm going to hold that in a second. Don't do it.
Do it.
I did this to Tom in Dallas last year, and he almost had a heart attack. It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We got a question or two. By the way, before I run out of time, at any moment that you would like to leave, I will not be offended. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will answer a couple questions now, and we got a happy hour to go to. Don't get too, because Tom said he wants you fresh in the morning, but questions on the microphone, and I don't mind spending a few minutes here or over there also answering some questions. Go for it.
All right, testing. Hey, great job, Jeff.
Thank
Killer presentation. So we've had a few short form reels that have gone like crazy viral. And my question is there some type of system? Like one of them, we got like 1,600 DMs. Not all of them are like, I want to convert those into real estate conversations.
Sure.
Without responding to every single one. Basically how to do it most effectively.
Is
there a system?
We're still working on that. So my friends from The Bachelor have a combined 300,000 followers. And so they're getting crushed all the time. We're still working on that, but what I would say is support is a big part of that. So somebody who drops in and spends an hour or two in those DMs, and you're going to then decipher, is this a meaningful local conversation, or is this just some random they were talking about that earlier. Do you want local, or do you want like anybody? And so you kind of decipher that way. So, and having support should help a lot, especially, you just got to help them know what your voice is. Is that helpful?
It does.
Awesome, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks again, Martin here from Bannan, California. Quick question about posting in Instagram. You suggesting on personal or business or both?
I like that question. I suggest, especially if you're getting started, have one. And what you do with that one, if you want and like the analytics or need the analytics, then you have to have some sort of either creative or business account. I personally like creative. You can just do a little bit more stuff with it, and then I put entrepreneur. And then it would be Jeff Bannan, real estate professional, or whatever you want to do. But I would pick one and get really good there. If you have a team, then you might do two. But even some of my team leads, it's still mostly one. Helpful?
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, hi, it's Ken from Salt Lake.
Hey.
What sort of blend would you have between personal, something as entertaining, and
I would test it a little bit. So I'd start by saying that, but and it's going to vary. Like I said, I've got some who are almost all real estate, but then they put their personal in their stories on a regular basis. And then some people will do more like a 1 in 3 or 1 in 5. Again, a little bit of that's going to depend on what the vibe of your page has been.
How do you make your DMs? I'm sorry.
Can you go over there just for the sake of them recording it? Go ahead. And you can tilt that down. I feel so far away.
I'm sorry. Bannan from Sarasota, Florida. How do you make the DMs meaningful? And I ask this because I'm sure everybody gets these same DMs. You know, I approve a lot of friends on Facebook, and I get the hey, beautiful, or I get the buy my product, join my MLM. You know, I get the crap.
Yeah.
As soon as I approve it. And the same thing with Instagram. You know, I post a picture of my boxer, and I get 5 people that want me to buy their product.
Yeah.
So how do you not be that creepy person?
Shannon? Yeah, hold on. Shannon gets the microphone. Hopefully you guys met Shannon already.
So for starting DMs, I look at like new followers as people that came into my open house, and so I just do a simple like, hey, this is Shannon, thanks for connecting with me. And then I might look for what we have in common, like, oh, I see you're a realtor too. Are you with Tom Ferry Coaching? If I see we have mutual friends, or if it's someone in Austin that maybe looks like a neighbor, like, oh, I see you're friends with so and so. Do you live in this neighborhood? And it's not like, hey, do you want to buy a house? You know, that kind of thing. I don't do auto response, like auto messages. I actually message it personally. And I will just, you know, and sometimes they do turn into conversations. A tip I've learned to manage my DMs is I can flag them. You can flag your DM, and then when you go back later, you can search filter flagged messages, and that way you see them, because every time you post a story and someone responds with like a heart or smiley face or whatever, those all count as DMs. So like if someone did have a meaningful conversation, I'm like, I can never find them again. So I just try to flag them and then, you know, connect with them offline somewhere.
Thank you. Was that it? Was that helpful?
Yeah.
You look like you still have a question. Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
So between Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn and Google, it's like a lot of things to keep tabs on and post on all of them. Is there like a social media company that you could maybe recommend that manages all those postings for you, or you just pick 1 or 2 that you like, or how do you?
So a couple things. I would start by picking 1 or 2. I'm okay with 2. And then also, as you potentially find some support, you'll start having your support, like Faith does with Sarah, do the Instagram to everywhere or whatever that app is. Are there some companies? Yes. Have I found a lot that anybody's thrilled with yet? We're still working through that, okay? And then the other thing is most of the content is relatively recyclable. So if you're doing short form content, it can live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Google. You just got to learn what the time domains are because they're a little bit different. And then you make content according to that. Is that helpful? Okay, you got it. Thank you. You guys are, I love that this many people are still here.
From Atlanta. I have a question about Instagram business. I started out with just a business account, and then I read that the way that Instagram works is you're not getting as much engagement naturally because they want you to pay for them.
Sure.
And so I switched over to personal, and I noticed instantly a lot more engagement. So I'm kind of hesitant to go back and add a business account back in.
A lot of the people who I'm working with are you creator account? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so test it. That was weird. Test it and go to the creator account as opposed to the business account and see how that works. And I have a feeling you're going to feel similar to what you're feeling. Maybe not the same, but similar, but it gives you some more capabilities. Okay, yeah, great question.
Julia from Miami. So I have a question. So Instagram offered me, to pay for the reels. But the question is, they just say, hey, like for December, it's your 5 reels, here's a nice tab. And then they just randomly, drop me money from my bank account at the end of January. So the question is, how can I know how am I doing on the months which is current in order for me to maximize that? Because like right now, it's already February and I have no idea, like what's my statistic of January.
You got help for me on this one? Guys, this is Derek. He holds the camera every once in a while, and I love him a lot. Do you?
So for the getting paid by Instagram is you have to be invited to do that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I have people who want to be invited. Instagram doesn't do it, even if they have good traction. So sometimes you may not actually know if you're gonna get a time to get invited to be paid again. It's hit or miss. So congratulations on December. You may not get one for a month or two. I personally went like 3 months without one. You never know when it's gonna happen.
No, it says eligible, but I don't know, I don't know what's my statistic for the previous months. It's just literally, months ends, and then 3 weeks after, it just says, hey.
So question for you, is it little money or big money?
Small.
Okay, so not a bad question, but I would say don't get lost in that. Is that helpful? If you were like, hey, this is thousands of dollars in like real revenue, and I'm not saying like a couple $100 is not real revenue, but I would focus on where the big money is. And so keep the consistency, look at that as a bonus.
But there's nothing, there's no strategy.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Got another one? Are we okay? Caitlin, kick me out if I need to. Okay, we got thumbs up. Caitlin's my boss right now, so I don't even see her. Oh, hi. Okay, good. I was like, did she go to the party? Go ahead.
Hey, Data from Portland, Oregon. Question about Facebook. I have a personal account with the engaged sphere on my personal account, and then I have a new business account connected to Meta. I'm struggling to grow that, and I want to put a lot of my content, particularly video, on Facebook, especially right now, just stuff that I'm using from Instagram. Should I really endeavor to start from scratch with the new business account and grow that, or put my content on my already engaged personal account?
I love that question because I used to get that question early a lot. They're like, business or personal? I think on Facebook, you should have both. And then it's a matter of, you know what's working, so keep working it. And then start finding some rhythm, almost like another app. Okay, so treat Facebook business like another app. Now, sometimes put all of your, how do I say this? I would go ahead and encourage you to put all of your real estate related content on the business page. Sometimes share it over to your personal page. Sometimes share it natively to the personal page. Does that make sense? And then, of course, keep your personal page some personal stuff too. And hopefully that will help to grow. It will grow slower unless you're putting money behind it. Okay, so don't stop with the other, but I would say definitely have a presence there, because if somebody finds you there, then they'll be like, oh, she's active. Does that make sense? Great question. Yeah.
So does it, in terms of Instagram ads, let's say, is it easier if you've got a business account, a creator account, personal account?
Yeah, so you can't do ads from a personal account. You can from a creator and a business. So just that's, I think, the reason why some of my people really like the creator account, because you have more capability and you can still do the ads.
So what's the difference? Because she was kind enough to, I thought that I had a personal account because
Sure.
I put personal and business on there.
Yep.
But when we just looked on it, it says that I have a business account. So how would that be different if someone was looking for me, if I had a business account?
They won't see the difference. They won't see the difference.
What is the Instagram? If
So,
Instagram had to describe to me what would be the difference?
sure. So business and creator allows you to run ads, allows you to see stats. Those are the two big things. Business does not give you as much creative capability from a sound standpoint. Like, you don't have as much access to songs and audio and creative. That's why. So that's why we want to switch you to the creative. There's your answer. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
Have any of your clients had success with boosting reels? I've never done it, and I don't know if it's something I should do or not.
You guys boosting reels?
Yeah, so the only thing with the reels is that you cannot attach a trending audio with it. You have to create it as the original audio. So in my SOP, the repurposo or whatever, I don't know what the name is, ask my assistant, it actually downloads it as an original audio, so then you can then boost that. And I've had actually really good success, like organically. Facebook is just boosting the shit out of reels right now.
Right.
And then if you put money behind it, I've had like 10,000 views, just like not spending very much money behind it.
How much would you spend? Like
$50.
Okay.
And I'll just like
over what period of time?
like 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll just kind of see how many web clicks did I get from it, how many DMs I got for it. But you can't do trending
That-
audio. That's the only thing.
That last piece that she just said is the most important. Like, if you're going to spend money, track it. Most of my people do not, and I'm not saying don't because she's obviously winning with it. But if you're going to do it, then did I get web clicks? Did I get DMs? And if I did, was it worth it? Probably, because we're trying to generate conversations. Okay, thank you. Good question.
So you can't put the music on when you do that way? Like the
You can't do trending. You can't boost an ad in
Yeah,
Instagram
you gotta
right
go.
now with trending.
Microphone. Oh, go. Sorry.
Oh, you can't boost an ad. You can't boost a reel with trending audio, so you have to create an original audio. Your marketer could do that, downloading it, or my SOP, when you do it, it'll save it as original audio, and then you can boost it as a reel.
Is that on Instagram or Facebook?
It's on Instagram is where you're always going to find all your trending songs, and then Facebook naturally will just create the original audio as
So you can't, you cannot boost
Yeah.
it with the trending.
You cannot boost if it's a trending audio. Yeah, it has to be original audio.
Go ahead.
I have 2 questions. I'm going to spit it out before I forget.
Okay.
So the first question is doing the batch like content day?
Yeah.
Is doing that once a month enough for trending videos? Like sometimes trend goes in and out. Like. That's my question.
Some might argue no. Every 2 weeks might be, but then how much does that matter for you right now? And depending on where you're at, I'm not saying you, I'm saying like collectively. Yeah, collectively. Now I've got some of my people that the current trending stuff matters a lot, but they're in an awesome rhythm. And so I would say get yourself into a good rhythm, and if once a month is what you can afford, then I would stress less about that. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Why would trending be, like, I'm just getting
Yes, sometimes trending can cause you to catch like the top of the wave and helps you just get a lot of more views.
My next question is baby boomers. Which social media outlet, or if any, are they on social media?
Oh, yeah.
Are they on Instagram? Like, you know what I mean? If I want that to be my avatar.
Facebook probably as your number one, and Instagram as a follow-up, and YouTube can be a brilliant one right now. I'm hearing more and more of my clients say YouTube is big. Yes. Chris is a coach, and he's awesome, and he's growing all these. There it is.
So, for example, in my household, my mother, who's in her 70s, learns about this stuff from my daughter, who's 16.
So he just said the youth will bring it to the older generation.
Meaning, so if my target audience would be baby boomers, right? If I'm focusing on that generation,
Yep.
I'm speaking to the youth? Or
No,
how would I distinguish avatar?
I would still speak, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I would still speak to the generation you want to hit. And then the kids will say, hey, Grammy, look, she's talking to you.
So to add context to that, again, we can agree the majority of people who are on that are younger generation. There's hard ads, there's mortgage ads, there's all types of things that are on there because again, they will regurgitate that information if they know this is a topic that's in the household. That is where we are. Mom is out looking at real estate. Youth will bring that back. So you want to talk to the people who are on the platform, not necessarily.
Okay, so like saying.
Yeah. Can I just, I would say grab a quick, he would be happy to talk to you. It looks like we got one more, and then any of you guys who want to come high five me, the fact that you're still here, I want to high five you. So go ahead.
This may be a silly question, but you post on Instagram and it will ask you to share to your Facebook
Sure.
business page. Are you supposed to do totally different posts for both?
It's a great
or
question.
Let it share?
Okay.
Maybe don't let it share.
Do you,
Is that a dumb question?
no, it's a great question. I've wrestled with this one personally, and I'm not the only one, and I know it because I coach some people. So if I know that I'm not going to go and open the Facebook app, what am I going to do? I'm going to let it share, okay? Might you get more mileage if you go into the Facebook app and share it? Probably. But if you're not going to do it, remember 7 or 8 out of 10? I went for 7 or 8. I just don't have the capacity, and I didn't want to hire somebody. So I let it carry over. And then personally, I flipped it to business, and I was like, it's sharing to my business, and then it's like my kids and my dogs and my, no, it doesn't feel like business anymore. So then I flipped it to the creator and matched that up to my personal Facebook so they are in sync. And if I want to share, don't go to my Facebook business right now, please. Because I just don't, I'm coaching way more than I'm selling houses, so it just doesn't matter for me to have energy there. But if it matters for you, then you need to make sure that you put that on your calendar and also dedicate a little bit of love to the Facebook business and then let the Instagram share over.
So that they're completely different posts, or
Could be either.
literally upload the same thing?
That goes back to the question from a few minutes ago that I would say business stuff should always be business, and then you can do both. Cool? Yeah, you got it.
Hey, Jared Saver, Nashville, Tennessee. My 14-year-old seems to have an interest in doing some videographer work. Obviously, it's very budget friendly for me, but
It's good.
Just wondering if there's a program or an avenue she could kind of check into. Maybe a better question for your guy there.
That's a question that myself, Chris right there at the backwards hat, or Derek would be happy to talk to you about a little bit offline, but love it, encourage them. It has been the best father-son relationship building thing ever, and you can start with a relatively cheap camera or even iPhone. There's some cool stuff out there. So yeah, love that question. Thank you guys so much.